Yeah, back in the old Gamecock Bourbon Studios is John Strickland. Hey, brother.
What's going on? Yeah, long 10 days out in Texas, but back home.
Well, we're glad everything. What was your when you walked in the door? You said, "I guess I'm gonna have a bourbon." What was it? Where'd you first bottle you grabbed?
I haven't drank anything. I had too much fun last week in Texas.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What is the best bourbon made in Texas?
Right now, I would say it's still Austin.
Don't think I've ever had that.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Is that available this way? Over this way?
It is.
Okay. Well,
Tito's is out of Austin. I know that.
yeah, I don't like Tito's.
You don't like Tito's?
Nope. I think it's a fashion trend, and I hope it goes away. I don't
It's
love.
not going anywhere. It's
It's definitely not going anywhere. My
No,
wife
it's
loves
not. But see, I like I drink vodka now that's made in Iceland. It's called Reka, and it's phenomenal. Just water and
well.
it. Actually,
lemon and lime,
the
and then
best
potato
vodka, so
potato
you
vodka.
feel good the next day, is potato vodka.
Yeah,
Chopin or Belvedere are
yeah.
the two best ones.
Belvedere's phenomenal. Yeah, I don't like. I used to, and locally, if I'm out and about or something, and they don't have potato vodka or what I get Reka, which is not expensive at all. It's $35 for a handle of it. I would get Dixie vodkas is made here in South Carolina in Charleston. I love Dixie vodka, and if I'm going to do that or Tito's, I'm going to give my money locally, and I just liked it better. But no disrespect, I won't. If I can avoid it, I won't go back to the wheat-based stuff. I feel so much. I'm with John. Feel so much better. Lemon, lime, water, vodka. You're good to go. Everything's fine, especially in the summer.
I'm all about either soda or water with a slice of orange. Squeeze the juice in. Oh, it's fantastic.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
RLE, you're spot on. Blue Ice is wonderful vodka from Idaho. I get that sometimes too. Well done, my friend. We should hang out. John, I think one of the underlying storylines that exists that isn't popular yet, but will be soon amongst those that cover the Southeastern Conference will be Lenore Sellers and Mike Shula. Mike Shula, obviously, with his extensive history in the NFL and all the quarterbacks that he's been around over the years. As we actually begin to talk football and things get into camp, you start to get reports, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be this kid who could be a top 5, maybe the number 1 overall draft pick next year. Quarterback, we've seen him. He can do virtually everything out there. And he's got a name, Mike Shula, his connections with every team in the league, not to mention he's a pretty good quarterbacks coach. I'm not going to sit here and ask you to project what Mike Shula's offense is going to look like. And still, with Faison out there, we don't know some things, so we don't really know exactly what all that's going to look like. But with what you know about Mike Shula, and I know that you do, hell, you played against him when he was at Alabama. How do you think I know that the transition has been easy, but when it comes down to getting Lenore Sellers kind of where he wants to get him from a player standpoint, making all the throws and the reads and all that stuff in line with what he likes to do offensively, what do you anticipate seeing here soon?
I mean, I think you're going to see similar stuff from last year, but I think there's going to be a few more Mike Shula wrinkles thrown into it. I mean, I don't know why you would change a whole lot. The way the offense was kind of humming the second half of the season. Obviously, there's a few games. In the Clemson game, but you got to give it to Clemson. I mean, they have a great defense. Oklahoma game, the offense didn't do a ton, but uh, against Missouri and A&M and Vandy, offense looked great. So I think you're going to see a lot of things stay the same, but there's going to be some touches of some Mike Shula put in the offense. And the great thing is that Shula has been working with Lenore for over a year now.
Yeah.
He was the one on the sideline with Lenore's, the whole season last year while Dow was up in the booth. Obviously, he was the one calling plays, but Shula's been working one on one with Lenore's for a long time now. So I don't know. I kind of like the way it's looking right now.
Mm-hmm. When you think back about last year's offense, you referenced some of the games that were really good, obviously, but hey, this is under the caveat that offensive line last year, it took them some time to kind of get where they were going. They weren't perfect at the end of the season, as we all well know, and Lenore Sellers, of course, saved them some pretty ugly numbers in the sack department because of his elusiveness and pretty much any other word you can come up with. But what are some things that they were doing offensively, schematically, in your mind, that probably need to be improved?
I mean, you want to see some more downfield passes, right? Which I think that's what everybody loves. Everybody likes to see. Everybody loves to see the ball getting thrown downfield, 20 yards plus. So I would like to see a little more of that thrown into the mix. If you go back to last year's offense, we did a lot more short passes, screens that hit for big plays. But the run game was pretty good last year. But we also had a guy named Rocket Sanders.
Yeah.
So he was a difference maker in a lot of this offense last year. So I don't know. I want to see us pound the ball. I hope we don't run Lenoris too much. You got to protect a guy like that, but you do want him to run because he's an electric runner. But I would just say I would love to see the ball downfield a little more. But that goes to wide receiver play as well.
Mike, I think you and I've had this conversation a long time ago when Mike Shula was first named the offensive coordinator. It was after the bowl game, as a matter of fact, and again, John has pointed out some things that happened in that bowl game that maybe presented some of it, but I'm not gonna sit here and try to tell you that I understand any of this and how they're going to do it. But one of the things you don't want to see happen is Lenora Sellers not be Lenora Sellers, right? Just if you're just a casual fan, you're watching the game. As Strick just pointed out, some of the things that make him great. I can't remember when we had this conversation, but it's been a while. And I think that's so intriguing to me is how an offensive coordinator like Mike Shula, who's been around the block and he's coached so many talented dudes, and he understands what this guy is and what he isn't, which he's way more is than isn't, as we all well know. And how you kind of balance that. Like some of that stuff is kind of like freestyle rap, right? Like you just kind of grab the mic and rip a beat. And he's like really good at doing that in football. But then also, these are the things that are going to make you a better quarterback, short-term, long-term, draft prospect, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some sort of a balance in there. Priority one is win every game. I've got it. We all get that. But just from the standpoint of getting him to do some things that are going to make him better versus being able to balance that out with how he can just kind of take over a game from time to time and implement whatever he needs to implement. I can't wait to see what that looks like. I have no idea how you do that, but you have such an incredible case here. Maybe the most athletic quarterback in college football.
I think a lot of people are going to, and we've talked about this to some extent, Strick, that they're going to immediately go to Mike Shula's past, and they're going to go to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, well, this is what he did with Cam. I was around for some of that time, but the first few years of Cam and Carolina, you got to remember, too, it wasn't just Cam. They had a backfield of D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, 2 first-round draft picks. They had Jordan Gross, who was a perennial Pro Bowl offensive tackle. They had a good line. And they had Steve Smith, a borderline Hall of Fame wide receiver, and Greg Olson, a borderline Hall of Fame tight end. So it wasn't just like Cam, the misnomer that Cam was just, running the ball left and right. What they would do is they would use those weapons, and then when they got inside the red zone or particularly near the goal line, Cam was just a battering ram, and you couldn't stop it. I don't know if I see the same things with the way they're going to run this offense. First off, we don't know what the backfield's going to look like. The phase-on thing is still in the air. I'm not sure if they don't take a step back without Rocket Sanders. Strick, you just mentioned him. Like, it's easy to forget. Strick. Well, you were good too, Strick. But Rocket Sanders, when he was healthy, was a badass. I mean, he just was. Teams did not want to have to game plan him and face him. And when he was out of the bowl game, I think Illinois is like, this changes everything now. And so you don't know if the running game is going to be as strong as it was last year. You don't know who your top targets are. And you certainly don't have a Greg Olson type tight end right now. Maybe one emerges, but and I don't know if I want Lenore Sellers risking injury on a bunch of goal line plays, taking shots from SEC defensive linemen every time. So I think it's easy to make that analogy of they're going to use Lenoris the way they used Cam Newton in Carolina, but I'm not sure if that's an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to take it away. I mean, you're going to use it because it's the strength of the offense. I just think maybe they're going to be smart with it, but I will say this: Lenoris is a big boy. He can lay the hits to those guys. I mean,
yeah,
he's as big as any, big or bigger than any linebacker we'll play against.
My favorite Lenoris plays are ad lib running plays, or when he's flushed out and it's 1-on-1. I'm taking that matchup every time. That a guy in the open field is not bringing him down 1-on-1 ever.
No.
So that's the one I want to see him really cash in on rushing yards. And then the passing game, I don't know what it's going to look like. Honestly, I agree with you, Strick. It's going to be more downfield. I mean, you're not going to have 20-something% of the passes never get past the line of scrimmage, which was the number last year. That's not. I just can't believe that's going to be the number this year. That's painfully conservative. But I want to know who the alpha is in that wide receiver room. I want to know what the tight ends look like. There's a lot of questions that I think are going to be answered in September, game by game. Okay, what are the strengths of this offense? Who are the strengths of this offense? That to me is almost as important, if not more, than the play calling itself. Because Shula's he's been around the block. He's going to call plays based on his personnel, right? He's not married to one particular scheme. He's not married to one particular group of plays. He's going to do whatever he has to do to have this offense be at its best. And I'm not sure what the right formula is for that right now, Strick.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it remains to be seen. I mean, that's why you got 5 weeks of practice before the first game, right? So they'll get to know this team pretty darn good here over the next 5 weeks. And I don't know, somebody in that receiver room. Actually, I'll say somebody. I think a couple of guys are going to have to step up and make some plays. And I think we got the guys to do it. I mean, there's talent. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of these freshmen just come out of nowhere. Because this freshman wide receiver class we got this past year was as good as anybody's in the country.
Do y'all remember when Mike Shula was with the Jaguars?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, because he had David Garrard, who played at East Carolina, who had done nothing in his NFL career, nothing. And as a matter of fact, I don't even know, did David Garrard play after Mike's last year in Jacksonville? I don't think
bounced around. He might have been in Cincinnati or something.
But he did nothing with the rest of his career.
Nothing major, no. I mean, he was mostly a backup at that point.
And he was a Pro Bowler under Mike Shula. I mean, Mike Shula went to Jacksonville and took what I think a lot of people would consider very much a project quarterback. By the way, similar in size, him and Lenore Sellers. Bodies are a little bit different.
Garrard was a beast physically. He wasn't as nearly as quick.
No,
as Lenore's.
And I'm not comparing Lenore Sellers and what he's capable of to David Garrard. I think if you ask me both of them in their prime in college, who are you taking? I'm taking Lenore Sellers. No disrespect to the Garrard family, who we know are big fans of our show. But I remember it was like a lost cause with David Garrard at Jacksonville, and then all of a sudden he was in the Pro Bowl, and it was just a couple of small things they kind of cleaned up. And so when things like you mentioned Cam Newton, it's Cam Newton, so that's going to be the storyline. I'm more curious with guys who had potential but hadn't really maximized that potential to that point. And I think that's where Lenore Sellers is. We know the potential he's got. How quickly can Mike Shula get him there while he's still himself. And I'll be fascinated to see what he looks like.
By the way, those Jacksonville teams had Fred Taylor too. Like in both cases, the Panthers and the Jags, you had like studs in the backfield. You had a really good running game to help take some of the heat off of their quarterback. I think, Strick, you would certainly agree. That's always a very nice luxury to have if you're a quarterback, to have a running game. So defenses will actually play you honestly, which is what Illinois did not do in that bowl game. But that's something Shula's had in his career, is some pretty damn good guys in the backfield.
Yeah. Well, I think, guys, hasn't Mike Shula kind of always been a we're going to establish the run first coach and coordinator? I mean, even at Alabama, I mean, we're going to run the football.
Yeah, no, they definitely. It's been a run first, just off of the top of my head of memory. But also his second year at Alabama, what did he have? Brody Kroll.
Yeah, Brody.
Yep. And I mean, they slung it around a pretty good bit there. So, but I mean, listen, in the SEC, most of the time, it's always going to be run first, established and run, open up the passing game. It's just what you have to do. You have to win the line of scrimmage, and then that puts us back to the offensive line. Those guys are going to have to pave the way. I mean, I'll just tell you, this team this year is only going to be as good as the line of scrimmage and how far they can take them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to come down to the two lines of scrimmage on the offense and defense. Those guys are playing great. I think they see a lot of success.
You could rinse and repeat that every year.
Yeah, I do like what I've seen. I know everybody's like, man, what does South Carolina got on the defensive line? I'm telling you, just from observation, I think we're going to be just fine on the defensive line. I feel good with Boaz at center and our two tackles. I think our guard spots are still kind of up in the air. I think there's 4 or 5 guys who are going to be competing for those 2 guard spots. And this, we start camp this week. This is what you got to figure out those first 3 weeks of camp. Who's going to be my starting 11?
Mm-hmm.
And who are the guys we can depend on to play if somebody goes down? That's what the first 3 weeks of camp's all about. It's all about competitions. Who's the pieces we can put in place? Who can we trust to go out and play? And then that, you go into that 4th week, 2 weeks before the game, you're still going to have some competition, but you kind of have a better idea of who you feel good about playing on Saturday, or in this case Sunday. And that's really what camp's all about. Learning the playbook, competition, who's going to be our starters, who's going to be the guys that we can rotate in. And then you kind of nail that down after the first 3 weeks and go from there.
Well, I know this. I mean, Josiah Thompson will be the most prepared left tackle, I think, in the league, with Dylan Stewart going up against him every day. But I can make the argument, John, I mean, you're the offensive lineman, so you carry the water on this. But whatever, if he's primarily coming off the right side or defensively, the left side of the offensive line, they're not going to see anybody this season better than Dylan Stewart. So if that's the guy they're having to figure out how to block for the next 4.5 weeks, it almost seems like it's going to be easy when you get to Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to get you prepared going against one of the best defensive players in the country. And, I'm curious to see if they're, because, Dylan played over the right tackle last year, the majority of all snaps. I think he may have moved around a little bit, but pretty much all of his snaps were over the right tackle. So it'll be interesting to see if they kind of move him around right and left.
Sure they will.
But, I'm sure they're doing it now. I mean, or will be doing it when camp starts. And both of those tackles are going to get great work. Great work.
Man, I just couldn't imagine having to. I saw a picture the other day of him and Clowney working together. That's a scary thought if you're the opposition. I think a lot of fans are hoping to see from this offense. Y'all keep mentioning throwing the ball down the field. I think that can get a little bit misconstrued. You know what I mean? Like this isn't going to be a hot, like this isn't the fun and gun. And we have to remember something. Steve Spurrier ran the football as much as he threw the football.
100%, because you had a guy named Marcus Lattimore, Mike Davis, and
yeah. Well, I was even referencing at Florida, like with you mentioned Fred Taylor just a little while ago, Mike.
Fred Taylor, Eric Red. No, I think it's not like a bunch of bombs. Throw it.
No, that's not what I'm speaking of. Either.
No, I know it's not. I think it's more. If you want to think of like the passes that Lenore struggled with most, it's not the deep ball. It's underneath. It's within 10, 15 yards. And sometimes those are passes that can keep drives alive. But I think you see more of those passes this year. So in other words, less bubble screens, and there's nothing wrong with those. Everybody throws them, but Carolina's rate of that was much higher than most, and maybe you open it up a little bit more, not just bombs away, not 65-35 pass run ratio, none of those things. Just more downfield toward the chains, and operate more of those.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of those Missouri passes we had, those little 15, 20-yard crossing routes that were big gainers and things like that. And those are always fun.
I feel like a lot of these things that they throw behind the line of scrimmage, I mean, we all know that the word execution is the main word in the conversation. Everybody has to do their job or it doesn't work. So if one guy misses on something, or you got a bad matchup here, or whatever, you miss a step, the whole thing blows up. And that's where it seems like one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two steps back. Oh, okay. Lenore's escaped for 20 yards and picked up a third down there. It's good to have that in the arsenal, right, guys? Like it's good to know that your dude can escape for 20 yards, but let's just kind of try to keep it moving. Maybe we'll run him for 20 yards, but we would rather not look over and go, oh, crap, he can't throw it there. Where do I go? Let me do a Superman move and get out of here. Like I think those are the things that people reference or when they talk about this offense. So if you are throwing the ball down the field, John, you correct me where I'm wrong here. But while everybody has a job to do, I totally understand that. I got it. You're still not relying on the fact that all of that has to be done at the line of scrimmage in order for this guy to be able to gain whatever yardage that play was designed for.
No, that's correct. And, let me just say this. Lenore's ceiling is up there. He's here. His ceiling's way up here. I mean, he's nowhere close to reach his full potential. And it's not like you're going to go out this first game and, Lenore's has already hit his potential because he hasn't. It's going to take him. I think we see him get better throughout the year this year coming up. I mean, he's only started, 12, 13 games. I mean, that's it. He's a young buck. He's got a lot more potential left in him, and he's going to keep learning and learning and learning. He'll keep learning once he goes to the NFL. He'll still have a ceiling, that he hadn't reached. And so everybody just needs to keep that in mind too. But I think we're going to see an improvement, if he can build off the way he finished last year. The guy almost completed 66% of his passes, only threw 7 interceptions, threw 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 2,600 yards at almost 66% completion rate, which I think is top 3 highest, maybe the highest completion percentage of all returning quarterbacks in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's pretty up there. But
do you think Mazio is going to be the guy?
Yes. I think in the slot, I think he's your slot go-to. I've loved Mazio since high school. When he committed to Tennessee at first, I was pissed, but then he came back and got his head right. So, Mazio showed flashes last year as a true freshman. Had some big plays and big games. I'm super excited for him.
I think this wide receiver room is going to probably end up surprising some people, to be honest with you. I mean,
so I'm knocking on wood for you.
I mean, you return 4 guys that were of your top like 6 dudes last year. I mean, they're I don't think they're getting worse. And if one of those freshmen ends up playing over them, that's going to be more credit to the freshman than it's going to be a strike against a Van Drevius Jacobs or a Jared Brown or something like that, in my opinion.
I mean, you got Brown, you got Harbor, Jacobs, Bennett. You got all those guys back that saw significant playing time. Now, Brown and Jacobs got a little banged up and, missed a little bit of time. But those guys are very experienced players. And, Jacobs, I mean, there's a reason he was at Florida State, right?